Guys, we are back in JavaScript, arrays and objects in JS under data structures. As you can see, I already did this section, and if you've noticed in the past videos, I recorded some and the quality was bad, so we're going to be working our way through it again, and so I'll be resetting the code as we go. So, in this, we're going to be asked to create an array, so var, we'll call it gaming array, or we'll just call it gaming, and we'll set that equal, and we'll put two values in it. We'll make them strings, so we'll put I'm actually playing Final Fantasy 9 right now, so we'll put Final Fantasy 9, and we'll put Breath of Fire 3, because I think that'll be the next game I go and play. So let's go ahead and save and submit. Maybe, let's see. Okay, so apparently I forgot how to declare an array. I think it's somewhat, is it like this? Okay. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Take a look at our previous code. I think it's lost now though. Our languages. Huh, I wonder why it didn't work. Alright, let's go back to our first one. So var games equal, oh, with at least 3 elements. Alright, so we have Final Fantasy 9. So we were declaring it correctly, we just weren't following the prompt correctly. So we Final Fantasy 9, comma, Breath of Fire 3, and another RPG code in, and we'll just put the original. So we'll leave that like that. Save and submit. Did you declare an array called list? Oh, okay. So we actually wanted it to be named list. So there's our list of games. Bam. So we've declared our array. We haven't done anything with it yet. So log the third element of languages of the languages array to the console. So in this case, we want to rename this languages. You probably want to change the values of this. Why do they? Okay, whatever. We're changing the value here. So let's take our languages. So here's this. It's a little weird because they probably actually gave us that. The only issue is that we're redoing our code. So var languages, and we want to get the third element's index. So remember that the index starts at 0 and not 1. So if we want to get JavaScript, which would be the third item, third element's index. So third item, we are going to console.log, and then in here we're gonna call languages, and we are going to ask for the second index value, because 0, 1, and 2. So the third item, and I believe that should work. Make sure you spell languages right. Bam. So there we go, our JavaScript. So under your existing code, log the number of elements and languages. So arrays have something built in, dot length, and this will tell us how many we have. So we have 5 values here. It doesn't tell you the index value, so that the max index would be 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, but this tells you that there's 5 values in here. Alright, so go ahead and use a for loop to log each element of languages. So we'll do it like this. So for var I is equal to 0, because index value starts at 0, so that's where we want to start. We'll say while I is less than languages dot length, so a max of 5, I++, and then in here we want to just console.log the languages one time for each, so basically, and then we're insert I will increase, and that should print out each one. So we have all HTML all the way to Ruby. So we're going to create a heterogeneous array called myArray with at least 3 elements. The first element should be a number. Alright, so heterogeneous array is basically an array that doesn't, like last array was just strings. This one is going to have multiple types. So var, they want it to be named myArray, so var myArray equals, and the first element is a number, second element we'll put true, and the third element should be a string. I'll just put string choose. I don't know why. I just ate some. And bam. So we didn't do anything with it, so we don't have an output. But it did, however, give us it did take the data for the heterogeneous array, so we'll be able to do something with it. So create a two-dimensional array called new array in the editor. The way you want to look at two-dimensional arrays are rows and columns, I guess is the best way to think of it. So they're basically an array of arrays is kind of what you want to do. So you should have 3 rows and 3 columns containing any data you like. So we're going to say var new array, and just to make this simple, because it does get confusing, we are going to in here have 3 rows, 3 columns. So 1 column, comma. So there's that, and we'll just put 2, 2, and then 3, 3, and this should be 3 rows. Alright, so 1, 2, 3 row, column. I think I have to add an additional value here. So let's see how they actually put 3 arrays inside a new array. Yeah, so I think we need 1 more value here. No, 3 rows. Is this considered 1 row? Oh, okay. So let's go ahead and bam and see what happens. So let's reset our code. So this is a two-dimensional array. It has 2 values. So to go for a 3-dimensional array, oh, you know what? I think maybe the comma. There we go. Alright, so that was just throwing me off. Make sure you have your comma in between each array. So they have 3 rows and 3 columns each. And you can see 3 different arrays with 3 values. So we're good to go. Alright, create a jagged array called jagged. You can place whatever you like in it. The only requirements has at least 2 rows. Alright, so and the rows cannot be the same length. So a jagged array is a multi-dimensional array, like in the hint here, where they don't have the same length. So var jagged, same way we've been creating it, and we'll just have 1, 2, and this needs to be in a bigger array. Put a comma, and then we can do another one, and bam. So we'll just put true. I believe that should work. So cool. So 1 value, different value even, different value variable type, and different amounts. So that's fine. So in this section, it's just asking us to reflect on what we've been messing with before we move on. So heterogeneous arrays, meaning that you can have different types of variables in your array, multi-dimensional arrays, more than 1 layer, and jagged arrays, more than 1 layer, and they have different values in terms of lengths. And so you could have two values in the multi-dimensional array, and then the second array in the multi-dimensional array could have 3, 4, or 1. So let's keep it moving. Alright, we've seen, alright, so in this, it just looks like an example. Nouns, verbs together, see how objects, so we are creating something here. Oh, it looks like we're creating an empty object. We're then giving it a name, a number, and creating a function, and then we are calling that function on it, and it should print out calling this name at this number dot dot dot. Bam. Alright, so this is kind of our first look at using objects in JavaScript. That section's coming up pretty soon. So using the above syntax as a guide, create an object me in the editor. Alright, so we're going to say var me. Create an object me in the editor. It should have a name key. Alright, so we're going to set this equal to, and then in here, so var me, we're gonna leave that empty, and then we're gonna say, actually they don't want us, they want us to declare it right away. So there's that. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. We're not gonna use that. For me, using the above syntax, it should have a name key. So we'll say name, and then we'll set it to Pizza Poker Guy, comma, and then it should have a age key. So we'll say age, and this will be 27. Okay, save and submit. Do you create an object using curly braces? Let's see. There we go. Alright, so make sure you use some sort of quotations for the strings, or else they'll mess up everything. Cool, let's go ahead and reset this. So recreate your me object in editor, but this time use the object constructor. Once you make it, use either the brackets or the dot notation to give it a name property string value. Okay, so we'll say var me equals, and then we'll say name, and then we'll just put an empty quote, and then we'll put age, and we'll also put an empty quote, and then var person. Let's do that, and then here we'll say var me equals new person, and then in here we're gonna say me, and then name is equal to Dylan, and then we'll also do the age the other way, so we'll say me dot age is equal to no quotes because this is a number 27. And we can actually probably just it might be better just to do it like that, even though it doesn't matter because we're going to be overriding it. And let's go ahead and save and submit. Did you create an object using the object constructor? I believe I did, var person. So let's look at a hint here. Maybe I have to straight up just declare it my object. Var Dylan is not defined. Oh. Okay, so what's going on here is that the way you declare an object, it looks like in JavaScript, is we have to literally say var me equals new object, and then when we say me equals name, it can get it from this person class and go from there. So that's what it looks like is happening. And then for whatever reason prints out the age for the me.age. Let's try this actually, see if this is working. Me.name, oops, equals Dylan. Oops, go back. So we want to go back a section because it really is important to understand what it is you're doing here. So it may just be consoling this out because console.log, and we'll say me.name, and then we'll console.log me.age, and semicolon this, and semicolon. So in theory, it needs to print out Dylan and age. Oh my god. So there it goes. Okay, so it's getting the value correctly. So that's what we want tests for. So the next lesson. So let's go ahead and reset this. So it wants us to create 3 objects called object1, object2, object3 in the editor. So var object1 equals, and for the sake of this, let's see if we can just leave them empty and see what happens. Well, we may not be able to. It looks like you didn't add any key. Alright, so we'll say object1 and we'll say name object1, and then we'll give the same type of key value for object2 and object3. Okay, so we were able to create 3 objects, and we just basically gave them default values for their name. Quick review, what objects are. Objects are kind of like items, item classes that you can manipulate. The example is person, and then we created me, which is an object, and then we borrowed from the person class to reset the values for standard things like name and age. Object syntax, we learned a little about that, and we learned how to create objects. So it may be a little bit difficult if you're not familiar with objects, or if this is your first time using object-oriented languages, but just practice makes perfect when it comes to this stuff, and you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. Alright, create an array. We're going to create an array again, so var myArray. I'm going to set that equal to, its first element should be a number, so 1. Its second should be a boolean, so we'll do true, and its third should be a string, and we'll say it is, we'll just do my YouTube, youtube.com/pizzapokerguy87, and then the last should be an object. You can add as many elements. So we'll say, do we need to declare it new object? Let's see how they do it here. Alright, so we're going to create, it looks like they want us to create an object real quick. And we'll say me. And we'll say var me equals new object. And we don't need to add anything here. Currently, I don't believe. So even though this is a blank object, it's okay to submit that. Just in this example, obviously a blank object would have very little to no purpose. Alright, make an array called new array. So var new array. And we're going to set that equal to, should be 2-dimensional. So it might be easier for you to set up your 2-dimensional array before you start putting values, and jagged, meaning that they should have different lengths. So we'll do 1, 2. And we'll set, they want ultimate kicker, so we'll do me again. So it not only is it jagged, but we'll do var me equals new object. Save and submit. Cool. So a little bit of review. Alright, add add a key called interest to my object. So here we want to add something called interest and give the key an array value. It can be any value you want. Alright, so let's create an array real quick. So we'll say var my array, and we'll put one value in here is equal to true. And that should work just fine. And so interest is equal to my array, and we want it to take in the 0 index, and there's no comma after because it's the last value. Did you give your interest key an array value? Let's see, did they not want us to use exactly what we're using? So interest, okay, that's correct. My array. Add a key called interest to my object. Give this key an array value. The array can contain whatever you like. Let's see if that is better. Okay, so let's go ahead and just take a quick look. We're at 1617 because I think we're probably just have a little bit of a syntax error here more than anything else. So var my array equals that. Let's try adding one. Okay, so we're going to go to the Q&A forum. We're going to look at 1617. Let's see here, var my array, interest equal. Oh, so it looks like maybe they want the whole array. So let's see if that's actually the case here. Okay, so that's what they wanted. They didn't want a specific value from the array. They just wanted the array. And then let's create our own object called my own object. So var my own object, and we'll just give it one property. We'll set it equal to we're creating an object, new object, and here we'll say my own object. We'll say, I wonder if we can declare it like this. This would be interesting. Pizza poker guy. Actually, no, I don't think we can. So I'm going to just refresh this page real quick. So in this case, I just gave it a key value, and that's all they really wanted. So let's go ahead and redo that. So var my own object equals, oops, we're doing it this way. I keep on doing it like we're creating the object when we're actually creating the class without creating an instance of object. And we'll just say name, and we'll do Dylan, and that should be fine. There's a problem with your syntax. Semicolon? On my own object, we want to put it in here, semicolon, and we'll do name Dylan, and that should be good. Unexpected token. Okay, so let's look at our syntax. Obviously I'm brain dead, I can't figure this out. Let's see here. Huh, maybe it's the double quotes? So let's go back here, and I believe we've been doing double quotes this whole time, but let's go ahead and just take this out and set it to 1, see what happens. There's a problem with your syntax. For my own object equals, and we don't need a interesting. So let's go ahead and look at another example, see what's going on here. Oh, we just looked at this one. For some reason, the help section, sometimes it doesn't back always. I don't know if it's object problem 17 and 17. Create your own object, or my object, and set it like that. And then we're gonna say, let's try declaring this object. So we'll say var my own object equals new object, and then we'll say my own object dot name, and we'll say Dylan. Okay, so that didn't work. Oh, dot name equals. I'm doing this like Java. Alright, there we go. So, different way of doing it. I'm not quite sure what the issue was beforehand, but we'll create an object like that, and we'll add a dot name for it. So, a little bit of a first-hand look at objects in JavaScript. As you can see, I'm not too familiar with the objects in JavaScript, but we did okay, I think. So let's see what we're up to next. Next up, we're going to be making a contact list. We'll be using more objects and calling functions on them and going from there. So I will see you guys in the next video. And as always, constructive criticism and anything you want me to clarify, feel free to leave me a comment and such suggestion down below.